Open patent taking open pa. 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 Open patent taking open pa.
Desires are mosquitoes, not bites. That sorry you want will also cost you bracelets. Somewhere we're taught we lose ourselves when we lose the things we like. Then we repeated it until we proved them right. Nihil habitans et omnia possidentes. So I only speak for me as I am in the world, not of it to choose poverty, who love it for its clarity. I like my rotten bulgur, I delight in days of hunger. I like patching over my old two-saris. I wear shoes that do not fit me, stink and sweat, refuse a fan, a phone, a TV. Praise my lousy bed and head and hauling company. To work on poverty, to me you must be poor. My commonality with those I serve gives dignity, and equal at their eye they come to us to die, with the dignity of friendship, with an uncontested equal. Nihil habitans et omnia possidentes. Nihil habitans et omnia possidentes.
Open patent taking open pa.
You say the poor like they're one thing, like they're a theory and a herd and not a people that outnumber you, not individual lives with crazy stories, moms and uncles, similar struggles, same intentions, different means. How many people have you alchemized to numbers? How many voices did you mute behind the comfort of your screen? Poverty is not a plague, it was not sent by God, but engineered by human systems. He won't fix it, that's your job. Oh, poverty's no plague, it was not nature who bestowed it, but our selfish raised ambitions that will bother God and run supported. Poverty's no plague, it's not a thing that simply happened. It is ours, and every second that continues passing while you are not offering your hand. Yes, your real hand is a waste of time. And time is unforgiving. So time is not like God, they say. Nihil habitans et omnia possidentes. The message of my life. That was it. It would be rude and misleading of me not to start with that. To do otherwise would be bad dramaturgy, as that is the message here painted on the outside of this vessel. Yes, vessel. This is a well-made vessel, custom built to relay that message to you. The reason you got it was not because I thought it, but because I became it with theatrics. Be the change you wish to see in the world as a kind of drag, the outfit matters. But just so we are clear, it was not posturing. I truly believe this message to be objectively true. Poverty is an exalted state. I treat the poor with dignity as befits this exalted state. From a religious perspective, the poor are closer to wisdom. I do not treat the poor with dignity out of pity or compassion. I treat them with dignity as an act of reverence. The poor are not just equal to you. From a religious perspective, they're better. Now, I was not born poor. I chose it along with this outfit. There is symbolism in the outfit, always. Some people call that marketing. You remember me when you see this outfit. And what do you remember? Me, the person? No. My dreams. You remember my dreams. This outfit affords me that kind of subliminal messaging. It's a teeny tiny phone call to a surfing synapses in your brain. Hello. Now there is additional symbolism in the outfit, which I will enumerate here. Faith is the inner tunic and is a brilliant white, the brilliant white of teeth, of the smile. This is a white so brilliant it is supposed to put out the eyes of the intellect, which is fabulous. Now over this white tunic of faith one puts this blue trim, this blue coat of mail. Blue is hope, by which one is defended, see, and also liberated from the thing that it ultimately represents, the world. More on that later. Blue hope is an armor and covers the whole body top to tail with no openings save for a little visor which allows the soul only to look heavenward and nowhere else. More on that later. Now over the white and over the blue as a finishing touch, one puts on the precious robe. This is charity. This is what everybody sees when they see you after being blinded by your smile. This is what you drag down the street. This is both the drag and what is drug. Yes? Now, let's talk about calls. I experienced a call when I was quite a young girl. My first call, that is. Which is the call to be a nun. This is an understated call. An intuition laced with a desire. Most nuns and monks you speak to will tell you something similar, like a phone in your heart. The phone's in your heart with this kind of call, yes? The second call I received was different. This was a phone in my face. This was an actual voice in my face that I received when I was truly not expecting it. On a train. The voice of someone who did not sound at all like anyone I'd ever met and was urgent. This was an urgent phone call from inside my face that I received while riding a train, and this was the call that got us here tonight. Me from wherever the heck I am, and you from wherever the heck you are. Somehow, serendipitously, in the same place. This is where it started. He said, "Your heart was never drowned in sorrow as my mother's." I said, "I stand with the mother. I dress as your mother dressed and perform her always." He said, "Will you not show me?" I said, "I will show you like this. I stand with the mother, as the mother, all right always." I promised him as such. That promise is a cup that I fill with my work and my love and my minutes. Go now to the poor. This conversation frightened me. Go now to the poor. God was testy. This is what was hard to bear. God did not make requests of me. He dared. And when I paused, "Will you not?" Like a child who's been neglected toward the dry arms of his father. "Won't you go ahead and try me? Will you not?" Not will you, not can you, not may you. Will you not? Not won't you, but you probably will not. I did try to stop the thoughts. I tried to be in silence. I could not. It came on booming. In a train car to Darjeeling. Will you not? Then every morning after, as a panic in my memory. Now, go now, go quickly. Will you not? What is asked is just as natural as it is supernatural. Will you not? The voice lives in two places at once. In the train car at 80 miles an hour, impossible. Will you not? And in the traveling space between the drums of my ears, as love made ghost, made clear, and argumentative. Go now to the poor. Why do you not? I say my answer lies with priests who know much better. Then you won't. Was this my first act of cowardice? I am too young to decide. Is obedience cowardice? Every day you do do not leave passes in darkness. 100 pass in agony today, will you not? Ultimately, the church would not consent till I could promise it success. But what is this success? What is success in matters of the hopeless? What now? So let me go, I said, tormented. Success is just a silly word that you invented. My doubt lived as an oily film on a well of my conviction. Deep enough to where no skiff could drop an anchor. My doubt floats at the top, but all the same pollutes the water. Forgo caution, child. When God asks for things, people are careful about details. When society asks for things, they are done quickly. Forgo caution, child. Will you not? This thirst is infinite. This is a thirst I rush to put out like a trillion fires in 1,000 neighborhoods. I can't find them all in time. Quenching won't be possible. Don't let that ease your mind. Just because it is untenable does not mean that it's not your calling. Will you now? Okay, now. 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 And in the beginning you are vain. God has spoken to you through a telephone in your face. But a soul canoe don't float. A soul canoe don't float. If you want divine perspective, you got to get up out the boat. Don't you strain at your brother's neck and then swallow your own camel. Don't you claim that your brother's whack with a soul that's still a gamble. You will know you're a beginner if your rapture is a show. If you're public and you're pleased now to let everybody know. So it's not nice to be suffered, not to punish you, but bolster both your real legs to the parapet. If your legs on a pride trapeze, God will run loose the net. There is competition, even in virtue. I will not hide from you that I have had my share of wanting to be the best at something. I was proud of my humility in the beginning. Are you? I ask that without an agenda, as we are 2 songs in now, so we are officially friends. Be the change you wish to see in the world is a kind of drag. I already said that. What I wanted to see more of in the world was humility. So, I became that change in order to fulfill my wish of seeing it. For most folks, humility is pretty unappealing. For one thing, you only get humility by acquiring humiliations. Nobody likes that, except for me. I accept humiliations. I am grateful for them. I call them my sweetie sweets. My smile is a cloak, not a coat. It doesn't keep me warm, but covered. It doesn't protect me, but you. It's a part of the outfit. And furthermore, it doesn't interfere with humility. I just wanted to be a nun, really. Ordered, submissive. I never wanted to be a leader. Being a leader requires a certain level of belief in oneself, which is a whisper's breath from pride, which is a different kind of cloak, one that protects me and not you. And I wouldn't abandon anyone like that. Abandonment is an awful poverty. Abandonment is what I call a second wound. The first wound is a given. You will be wounded in this life, but the second wound is one that comes just after it and lasts a very long time. That second wound is a wound of no one was concerned I was wounded in the first place. I'm telling you this so that you can do your best to make sure that you aren't opening these second wounds anymore. Anyways, in the end, I wasn't taught the reality of feeling unloved and unwanted by others. I was taught that by a God. But patched clothes are no disgrace. It's the same with spirits. Is loving your system the same thing as loving your breakfast? Don't answer that.
If you get the voice, you get it once. The voice has other ports of entry after that. Did you know, girl, when you heard it, it would never speak again? That it would leave you iron flat against its silence.
Being the change you wish to see in the world is kind of a drag. My soul is out of its onesie, isn't cuddled, is big enough to be put down, weaned, made to eat a bread with a crust. That is St. John's explanation for this silence. And now my soul is exposed, it is ready, prone to oxidation and a forceful gust of wind. And there are raptures and transports, a dislocation of the bones. I annihilate myself and strike this room of everything that was not part of the vessel. I'm the manger, I'm the cup, and I am ready, I am empty, 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 I am empty. The living image of the saint is one of horror, of a mouth open and gaping at its own husk in the mirror, surrounded by their own sleep, spiders eviscerated in their own webs, attacked by stronger giants, while they patch their robes with wash rags or rub ashes into paper cuts. I annihilate myself and strike this room of everything that was not part of the vessel. I'm the manger, I'm the cup, and I am ready, I am empty, 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 I am empty. Saints do not practice self-care. We practice self-annihilation. If I was to publish The Idiot's Guide to Self-Annihilation. It would be short, and likely not your favorite book. It would go like this. Page 1. First item. Seek out some suffering, and then appreciate it when it shows up. It is hard to explain this to a modern person, this want of suffering. You cannot look at it with what you call your right mind. But without suffering, the work we do is social work, which is good and fine and helpful, but nothing to do with your soul, in my opinion. Anyway, the work is not yours. Page 2. This would be a blank page, followed by another blank page. And then there would be a page where I drew a single marigold. I really like the reminder of a marigold. They're named for Mary, you know, who is a true example of watching and feeling and continuing to stand upright. She blooms unseasonably. Where am I? Page 5. The second item. Once you have located your suffering, give a purpose to it. Give it to someone. You got no one to suffer for? Alright, suffer for me. Imagine that every time you lose your breath, or you cry out in pain, that it is an offering in a lunchbox of my energy, and I collect it through the air. And this is how I go on. Because of you. Your suffering has value. Anyway, the work is still not yours. That's the whole book, guys. I don't want to see my face anymore. It's a thing I use. It's not part of me, really. I don't want your candles. I don't want your stuff. If it's not abundantly clear, I am keeping this room vacant in expectation of... Well, anyway, he won't come unless the room is spotless. Excuse me. Hello?
Good morning and God bless you. Is this Mother Teresa?
Yes, I suppose it is.
This is an automated telephone service very official as to the nature of the progress within your calling. Please press 1 to comply. Welcome. Please answer the following questions with brutal honesty in order that we may fully assist you with your current station. Question 1. Do I really receive Holy Communion with faith and love?
No.
Question 3. Do I value the salvation of my soul?
I don't have one. There's nothing in me.
What are the dangerous occasions of mortal sin to which I am exposed?
My eyes.
Or what?
Dangerous.
Because of the distraction from
Because
God.
of the Exactly.
Working. Thank you. Do I desire to be poor with Christ's poor?
With my whole heart. I am not humble, but I am too small to be proud. I pray fervently to be forgotten, to be ignored, to be nothing to anyone. And this is how my prayer has been answered. Why are you laughing? Anyway, I do keep on saying the same prayer.
Do I avoid trying to shine in front of others?
I don't understand that
Do I
question.
accept desolation as ready as consolation? Do I accept dryness in prayer as a grace of God?
No, nothing inside of me.
Is there anything you would like to add, Mother Teresa?
Tell him I'm sorry. Ask him to give me the face of a smiling child.
Why is that my job?
Because he doesn't speak directly to me anymore. Hello? Hello? In a marriage, some things are kept private, kept even from the children. I not explain this part to you. So why unload the cart? I am undefended. I live undefended. The only shield I've got now is my quiet, and that isn't for myself. May my promise be a chalice I can pour into it lots of things, like minutes, like sweat, but not thoughts, 'cause thoughts are of the self. And I am emptying the cup of myself. I am undefended. I live undefended. The only shield I've got now is my smile, but I don't give that to myself. Tell you, let's just see what happens when a modern woman gives herself completely to be a blank space. Will it keep her on her knees to see what's emptied from the cup of herself? A cup by nature won't track what it spills. A cup has two states, filling and emptying. I am in service, I have no actions of my own. One might say I was purified of human alloy. One might say I was ready to enter the deep things of God. One might say I was terribly unkind to myself. One might say I was unable to look at the whole picture. One might say I was never able to understand the whole picture. I have given myself to the small, to the one life at a time, for the one last breath and its qualities. I am undefended. I live undefended. I smile at this cardboard box that's getting filled with all kinds of important things. Big things I do not understand. It's a veritable box of treasures, and the plainness of the box won't mean it cannot bear the weight. I always said, if they ever tried to canonize me, I would want to be known as a patron saint of darkness. That I would not take my reward in heaven if it turned out that heaven was in fact a meritocracy. I said I would stick behind here. No thank you. I would stay, to be a friend to those who also go through this. And as luck would have it, here I am, behind the bookcase of reality. And I have kept my promise to you. That's pretty wild. And one must observe from this vantage point that the living world is in fact a peach. Is the fleshy, peachy peach part, sure, has worms, also has a fuzz, has rind. And that rind is the peach's container. And maybe that rind is actually divinity, and I, or, we are here in between the two. Isn't that marvelous? Oh well. I did not do a very good job of giving you a biography. It's all quite sentimental, actually, in retrospect. And sentimentality is disordered. I abstain from it. Oh no. Oh, we're wrapping up. Wait, but I just realized I have a lot to say, actually, as it turns out. These are medieval dramatics, aren't they? My particular darkness was a medieval darkness done to a modern woman, so it was quite a show. Suffice it to say, I am an expert on this niche subject matter, and I am here to be the mother of your house. For anyone who's had a particularly hard go of it and thirsts for understanding, for the care of an older woman who loves you and has been there and has anecdotes. Child, think about where you were a year ago. I mean, okay.
This is not a trial by fire, this is renovation by fire. You know fire. Fire when applied to wood dehydrates it and turns it black and brittle, makes it ugly, makes it sink. But the wood, if submerged now, wouldn't sink. 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 This isn't a trial by fire, this is renovation by fire.
Everyone is called to be a saint. We have, compatible technologies, but we prefer different uses, to put it lightly. Furthermore,
Drying out the wood expels these dark and ugly accidents contrary to the fire. Fire turns the wood into itself in a task without desire. Makes it then perform its action, so the wood is dry and dry, and so the wood is hot and heats. Fire changes all it eats into itself. You are lighter and light. You are brighter than before. 'Cause it is not a test by fire. This is not a trial by fire. This is renovation by fire. This isn't a trial by fire. This is renovation by fire. This is not a trial by fire. This is renovation by fire. This isn't a trial by fire. This is renovation by fire.
we will not be able to talk about this when we emerge. So let's hold on to it now. We are beholding an object never before seen in itself or in its likeness, so we won't describe it well. And even if we could, God would hold our tongues, or physics would screw around with the math. Because unlocking the divine mysteries means you have to unfix your brain and step outside of time. And when you step outside of time, we won't be able to talk. Simple as that. Grammar is temporal. All you'll be able to say is, like, do you perchance know the paths of the great clouds or the perfect sciences? And you'll go, everything is a miracle, yes? It's a miracle that one does not dissolve in one's bath like a lump of sugar. Wisdom is an abyss. Love has a simpler science. Not all is lost. Your prayer will be short if you understand that. Oh God. That's it. That's all you get. Oh God. The earth shook and trembled. Your way is in the sea, and your paths are in many waters, and as such, your footsteps will be washed quite away. And when I say I'll smile for you anyway, it costs me, it's an offering. A symbol works best when you put it in the room. The fact that I actually lived does not make me less of a parable.
Stabat mater dolorosa, juxta crucem lacrimosa, dum pendebat filius, quius animam gementem, contrit statam et dolentem, per transivit gladius. Sancta Mater Istudagas crucifixi fige plagas cordi meo valide.
And when your new soul arrives on the doorstep of the new world, don't be like the children of Israel in the desert, who when they were given manna craved onions from before the war. Let yourself get unused to how it was. The night will wipe your memory if you let it. Let it. We will not be going back.